Okay. Good morning, guys. And let me know if you all can hear me and see a screen. Yes. Can see a screen. Yeah. Right. Perfect. Second. Right. Okay. So today we'll continue from where we stopped. Right. We need to work on the work from the 2015 paper. Okay, and then complete the thing. We'll see how far we can go. If we can complete everything, then ideal. But even if we can't, that's fine, right? So we do have some time. So we will be doing these MCQs. Once the MCQs are done, we will work on the essay questions for unit number 9 and 10. And once that is done, we'll look at 11 and 12 together, right? Probably only the MCQs. I'm not planning to discuss all the essay questions for unit number 11 and 12 because I know most of you all are anyway going to leave those questions, right? So we'll do the MCQs, we'll see how those go. And yeah, so probably I'm looking at maybe another 2 classes, maybe two, yeah, somewhere around another 2 classes, we should be able to finish off unit number 9 and 10. And then unit 11 and 12, I think again, in another 2 classes. So probably this will be the last 4 classes for Beyond the Classroom, which we started almost a year ago. I think we started somewhere around in November. We did have a break in the middle. And yes, 4 more classes to go and then we are done and dusted. Eventually the recordings will be there on YouTube, but I'm too caught up these days, too busy with different other stuff. So whenever I'm free, that I will upload it on YouTube. So if you really want to, if it's really urgent, then yes, come to class and learn it. Otherwise, be a little bit patient without troubling me. Someday it will be there on YouTube, probably definitely before your exam. And you all can get it covered some way or the other. Okay, right. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I think we're 10 minutes late. Also, I woke up a little late actually. Right. So we'll start with 2015. Okay, and then we'll go on. Guys, did you all do the questions? Yes. 2015 to 2020, the MCQs done, dusted. No. Yes. Yeah. We have a very few yeses. Okay, so I'm guessing the others are just here for the fun of it. Right. Okay. So I'll be discussing anyway, guys. Y'all can catch up and see what we are. Okay. So 2015 A levels. Question 42. Okay. Okay. The major determinants. So give me answers, guys, so we can move faster. Okay. The major determinants of comparative advantage among countries include all of the following except which one? Which of the following they're asking you is not a reason for comparative advantage. Now, what is comparative advantage? Where one country can produce at a lower opportunity cost. So how come one country can produce at a low opportunity cost? Now, there are reasons like, the climate of that country, maybe where that country is located, maybe the amount of capital and labor, the resource abundance, the quality of the resources, the differences in the resources, right? So all of those are kind of reasons for comparative advantage, why one country can produce better than another country. But then you find one answer over here, which is really not a reason. That one is answer number 1, guys, right? Per capita income. Now, what is per capita income? Per capita income is simply your GDP divided by your mid-year population. So that gives you an average figure of how much is per person's contribution, or what is the average figure of per person's income annually. Now, that is not really a reason, or that is not really a source or a determinant for comparative advantage, right? So that becomes the answer over there. So 42, a pretty easy theory question. So we start off with question number 1. Guys, fast track people, not fast track people, the mock exam series people, I'm hoping you all are doing the mock exam 5. I'll see you all at 7 p.m. tonight for the first class. Okay, now, right. So question number 43. Okay, now this is a very common question now, which I have explained last week also, right? I told you every single year they give you the same question, right? Either in the form of a table or in a paragraph or something, and they ask you, based on this, which of the following is true, or which country has the comparative advantage, absolute advantage, or what is the exchange rate between the goods, right? That is what they ask. So now you all should be able to handle something like this, and because we have done at least around 4 to 5 questions, very similar questions. So we'll see what we can do. Okay. So here we say the table shows the number of bicycles and tractors which can be produced with a composite resource unit in country A and country B. So first of all, guys, is this input data or output data? Figure that out. That was our first step, right? In no matter which question, we figure out whether it's input or output first. Is this input data or output data? It's output data, right? They're saying the number of bicycles and tractors that can be produced with a composite resource. So with 1 unit of labor, right? How much of output they could produce. This is output data. So remember, when you're doing a calculation, that's the first step, right? You miss that up. Yes. Okay. So then they say, assume that each country specializes in the production in which it has a comparative advantage. For mutually beneficial trade to occur, the rate of exchange between tractors and bicycles should be. So they're asking per tractor how much of bicycles you should get. What is the mutually beneficial rate of exchange? So shall we calculate and see? Please. Again, when you're calculating this mutually beneficial rate of exchange, what you have to do is you need to calculate what? Again, the opportunity cost, guys. Through the opportunity cost only, you calculate this exchange rate as well. So guys, can you all give me numbers? I'm not going to uh, calculate opportunity cost now because I'm guessing most of you all can do that. Tractors, country A, what is the opportunity cost? Country A. So it's 60 divided by 20, it's 3 bicycles. Okay. Bicycles, 1 divided by 3, you get 0.33 tractors, right? And then for country B, what is the opportunity cost of producing a what? Tractor? It's 10 divided by 2, that's 5 bicycles, right? 5 bicycles. And then in this case, 2 divided by 10, you get 0.2. And so this is actually that 0.2 is not needed, right? Tractors. So this is the opportunity cost, right? I'll just try to see if I can connect it to this. Okay, so these are the numbers. These are the opportunity costs. So the opportunity cost of each case of producing each of the following. Okay, I'll leave it there. So then now they're asking you, right? Okay, can you all tell me based on these numbers that we have, okay, who will specialize in tractors, guys? Which country? Which country has the low opportunity cost and which country will be specializing on tractors over here? Country A has an opportunity cost of 3 bicycles. Country B has an opportunity cost of 5 bicycles. So who is better at producing tractors? It's country A because they only have to give up 3 bicycles. So country A will specialize in bicycles. Can you tell me who specializes in tractors? Who specializes in bicycles? Country A has to give up 0.33 tractors, while country B only gives up 0.2 tractors. Remember, I always told you, if one country has the comparative advantage of one good, obviously for the other good, it should be the other country, right? There is no other way around. Okay. So now, if you look at the exchange rate here, so if now all the answers are talking about per tractor. No? So per tractor, you need to find how much of bicycles is needed. It's a very simple thing, right? So if country A, understand this logically, right? So country A is the country that is going to produce bicycles and produce tractors and export it to country B. So first find out, okay, what is the price of bicycles? What is the price of tractors in country A in terms of bicycles? What is the price, guys? The internal exchange rate. Price of tractors in country A is 3 bicycles, no? So the internal exchange rate Okay, the internal, sorry, the internal exchange rate, if you look at country A, okay, so country A, how much is it per tractor? They are already getting, okay, if they give up one tractor, they will be able to get 3 bicycles. Okay, so look at the same story in terms of country B now. So country B, for their internal exchange rate, right, per tractor, how much of bicycles are they getting? So how much of bicycles do they have to give up? They have to give up 5 bicycles. Now, based on this, right, can you figure out an exchange rate? It's a very easy thing, no? So if country A wants to export bicycles, will they expect more than 3 or less than 3? In their country itself, they're getting 3 bicycles per tractor. If they want to export tractors, they will expect more than 3, no? Right? They will expect more than 3 bicycles per tractor. So that is your first part. Then if you look at country B, the country that is going to import the tractor, already in their country, they are paying 5 bicycles per tractor. So if they want to buy it from someone else, they will buy it at a price more than or less than? Less than, no? In their country itself, per tractor, they are giving up 5. So if they want to buy it from someone else outside, they will be willing to buy it at a price less than 5 bicycles. So that is where your exchange rate lies. So your exchange rate lies more than 3 bicycles and less than 5. It's a very common question, guys, which I'm hoping, guys, I didn't go into very depth of this on showing how to calculate external exchange rate and all of it. I'm hoping by now you all know those. So this is just a recap that. Okay, so you go with answer number 2. Okay, between 3 and 5. So it should be more than 3 and less than 5. That means between 3 and 5. Done. Then that's 43. We'll move on to 44. Okay, now this I have kind of explained as well, right? The terms of trade one. Again, I said it's a very common question every single year they give you. So which is the only combination of price changes that must result in a deterioration, right, in the country's terms of trade? So the country's terms of trade has to deteriorate in the sense decrease. So which of the following will cause that case? So if you all know, the terms of trade is equal to your export price index divided by your import price index. So which of the following will cause the terms of trade to fall? Simple question, right? So you go with your answers. So ideally, for the terms of trade to fall, guys, your import price index should increase, your denominator should increase, or your numerator should fall, right? Okay, we'll see. Okay, the first one looks like the answer, right? Average price for exports, so export price index falls. Okay, average price for imports, import price index increases. Yes, that has to be your answer. Now, if both falls, then maybe the TOT will remain unchanged if it falls by the same proportion, right? Then if export price index rise and this falls, then it will appreciate. It will not deteriorate. It will become better, right? For this rises, this also rises. If it rises by the same proportion, it might remain unchanged. Export price index remains unchanged and import price index falls, then the TOT will again appreciate. So which is the only reason that the TOT would actually fall, or where the TOT would deteriorate is where these are simple, these are basic maths, right? These are not even econ. For this number to fall, what should ideally happen? The numerator should increase and the denominator should fall. Sorry, numerator should fall and the denominator should increase. So what is the only answer that talks about the numerator falling and the denominator increasing? It's answer number 1. Okay, that's 44, answer 1. Then we'll move on to the next one. Okay. Okay, now these questions are good questions, right? Under a flexible exchange rate system, which of the following should increase the rupee price of the US dollar? Now, first of all, when you get a question like this, you need to figure out, are they talking of a appreciation or a depreciation? Think carefully. The rupee price of a US dollar is going to increase, guys. What are they talking about here? Which the following should increase the rupee price of the US dollar. So let's say the US dollar, let's say one US dollar was equal to 180 LKR. So if the rupee price of the US dollar is going to increase, how much should it be? 1 US dollar should be more than 180 or less than 180? Which of the following should increase the rupee price of the US dollar? Increase the rupee price of a US dollar. What do you all think should happen? More or less? It's more, right? The rupee price of a US dollar earlier was 180. Now it has increased. So now the rupee price of a US dollar, let's say, is 200. Okay, this is where a lot of people get confused, right? So it is not less, it is more, right? Now, what is this called? This is called, right? This 180 is called the rupee price of a US dollar. So earlier, the rupee price of the US dollar was 180. Okay. So here, then they say, which of the following should increase the rupee price? So earlier, the rupee price was 180. Now the rupee price per US dollar has become a 200. So then tell me, based on this, is this a appreciation or a depreciation of the LKR? What has happened to the local currency? The local currency, 180 became a 200 means it's a depreciation, right? Your local currency has depreciated. What can you say about the US dollar? What has happened to the US dollar over here? This has appreciated, right? So now what you have to do is you have to find, right? You need to find, it's not constant, guys, it is appreciated because 1 US dollar earlier is 180, now 1 US dollar is 200. So if you convert this in terms of US dollar terms, it is appreciated. Okay. So now what you have to do is you need to find a reason from these 5 that is going to match this, right? That is all that you have to do. So we'll find reasons. We'll go through each one of these reasons and see which one causes what. Non is on, but why isn't it? Okay, right. So we'll go with the answers. The rate of inflation greater in United States than in Sri Lanka. Okay, I'll explain this one by one. Okay, what do you think happens? So if in United States, if the inflation is greater, what do you think happens? What can you say about USA's exports? What happens to USA's exports? The exports of USA increases or decreases. We'll go one by one, guys. We'll talk about everything, right? So if there is inflation in USA, that means USA's prices are high, means whatever that they are exporting, people are not going to buy because it's expensive. So USA's exports will decrease, meaning the demand for their currency falls. Demand for USD falls. And what can you say about USA imports? Now it's very expensive in their country. So what will they try to do? They will try to buy it from cheaper countries, no? So their imports will increase. So what can you say about the supply of their currency? Supply for USD rises. So as a result, what happens in this context? What is the final result? The US dollar appreciates or depreciates? The US dollar depreciates, no? Their exports are falling, their imports are increasing. So the US dollar depreciates. So can this be our answer? We are looking at an answer that talks about the US dollar appreciating, right? So this one can't be our answer. Then we look at the second one. We look at one more. Okay. The second one. The second one talks about national income increases greater in the United States than in Sri Lanka. Okay. So national income increases more in USA. Yes, when national income increases, what have we said? We have told, I have to explain one thing. I don't know if I explained this in the BYC, yeah, but in my fast track, I would have told you all guys. When national income increases, a country tends to do something more. What are they doing more when national income increases? What do they do more? Not really consumption and spending though. What do they do more, guys? Remember, when national income increases, we say that a country imports more, right? Right? Because remember, your import function, M is equal now in our syllabus only, imports are what? Autonomous. We just say imports M equals 50. But in reality, guys, imports are income induced. So imports are 50 plus 0, this is unit number 6, macroeconomic equilibrium, let's say 0.2 Y. So whenever this national income, whenever this Y tends to increase, right, for a country, right, their their imports also tends to increase. So with the increase in national income, that is your Y here, your imports tend to increase. So in that context, guys, if national income increases in US, what can you say about the imports in USA? USA's imports increases or decreases? USA's imports increase more, no, than compared to Sri Lanka, the imports increase more. So USA imports increase. So when their imports are increasing means they're supplying their currency, they're giving away their currency. So supply of USD increase. Because I'm not talking about the Sri Lankan perspective here, okay? So what do you think happens to the US dollar now? Does it appreciate or depreciate? The US dollar? When their supply is increasing, when they give up a lot, guys, I'm not drawing the supply and demand curves here. I'm hoping by now you all know those. Okay, depreciates. I think I would have taken so much of time and explained that entire story to whoever was there at some point. Okay, done. That's 2. Then we look at 3. The increased preference of US citizens for Sri Lankan garments. So now the US people, they like to buy our Sri Lankan stuff, right? So increased preference, increased preference. Hold on. Okay, increased preference for Sri Lankan garments. Yes, indirectly, what are they saying here? Is US going to import or export? If US people now they like Sri Lankan garments, so USA is going to import, no? So when USA imports, what happens? The right supply of US dollar increases, USD increases, right? Okay, and then what can you say about Sri Lanka? If US people are buying from our country, our what increases? Sri Lankan context, our exports increase, no? So our exports increase. So Sri Lanka exports, meaning that the demand for LKR increases. So in this context, what happens, guys? Supply of US dollar is increasing, demand for LKR is increasing. What can you say about the US dollar and the LKR? US dollar depreciates or appreciates? US dollar depreciates, no? And the LKR, the Sri Lankan rupee, appreciates. So again, that is also not your answer again, right? So we are looking at an answer that says the other side of it. We're still looking at the answer that says the US dollar to appreciate and the LKR to depreciate. So third one also is not really your answer. Okay, look at the fourth one. A substantial reduction of imports coming to Sri Lanka from USA. Now, okay, the fourth one. What can you say? There is a reduction of imports coming to Sri Lanka, right? So reduction of imports coming to Sri Lanka. So what can you say about the, okay, so Sri Lankan imports are decreasing. So if Sri Lankan imports are decreasing, what can you say? The supply of our currency or our demand for our currency? What is affected here? What is increasing or decreasing? If we are importing less, means that means we have to pay less, no? Yes, we are importing less. So we are importing less means we pay less money now. So we are supplying lesser currency, right? So supply of LKR decreases. We don't have to pay them much. And then the same time, guys, what happens to the US exports? We are buying less from USA now. So US exports, again, that is also decreasing, meaning, right, the demand for USD also decrease. No one is really demanding for USD. So in this context, can you all tell me what happens to the exchange rate? Yes, you all need a little bit of background understanding for this, right? On how the demand and supply curves work. Otherwise, it will be complete rubbish. Yeah. So what happens to the US dollar over here? Hmm? The US dollar. Reduction of imports coming to Sri Lanka. The US dollar depreciates, no? Depreciates. And then the LKR appreciates. Now, can this be the answer? Is in case I make a mistake somewhere, let me know. I also sometimes lose focus. Okay. Then the final one, then that has to be the answer. Okay. So we'll see how this works. The final one, real interest rate. Okay. Again, this is a question that you can learn a lot from, right? So real interest rate in USA is greater, okay, than in Sri Lanka. Guys, if the real interest rate is greater in USA, okay, tell me, where would people go and invest their money? Would they invest it in USA or would they invest in Sri Lanka? USA is giving a greater real interest rate. Where will people go and invest their money? In USA, let's say you can earn real interest rate of 10%, while in Sri Lanka, you are only earning a real interest rate of, let's say, 6%. So let's say a Japanese investor or investor from UK, where are they going to put their money? Where you can earn a 10% interest rate or where you can earn a 6%? Where are they going to put it, guys? In USA, where they are giving you 10%, or Sri Lanka, where they're giving you a 6%. Because why on earth will they put it on Sri Lanka when Sri Lanka is only giving you 6%? Obviously, investor wants more return, right? So usually capital flows, right? Okay, so real interest rate, it's like this, guys. Now, when you're looking at real interest rate over here, we're looking at real interest rate in terms of capital inflows. We're not looking at the context of inflation, right? Now, for example, now you can't, just because the real interest rate in USA is higher, you can't conclude that USA's inflation is higher. Now, I will prove that to you this way, right? So let's say now let's say USA, now that's a good argument, right? So USA and Sri Lanka, okay? So how is real interest rate calculated? Nominal interest rate minus inflation. So let's say USA's nominal inflation rate is 10%, right? Okay. I'm not going to write everything. inflation rate is 2%. So therefore, let's say they have a real interest rate of 8%. Now, in the same context, right, let's say Sri Lanka's real interest rate is 5%. Sorry, nominal interest rate is 5%. Inflation is still 2%, right? Their real interest rate is 3%. Now, just because USA's real interest rate is high, can you say USA's inflation is high? No, no, no. In my example itself, USA's and Sri Lanka's inflation rate is the same, no? This is nominal interest rate minus inflation. So just because the real interest rate is high, just because this number is high, you can't come to a conclusion saying that USA has higher inflation. So that way of thinking there is wrong. Is that clear? Yes. Okay. So then, okay, if USA has a real interest rate, guys, that means now say in USA they're giving you, let's say, a 8% return, while Sri Lanka is only giving you a 3% return. So where are people going to put their money in now? So all the investors, right? Investors invest in USA now. They don't put their money in Sri Lanka. So what can you say about the demand for the US dollar? When investors are going to invest it in US, the demand for US dollar increases or decreases. People are going and investing it in US. The demand for US dollar increases, no? Demand for US dollar increases. So if the demand for the US dollar is increasing, what can you tell about the US dollar? Is it going to appreciate or depreciate? US dollar will appreciate. So that is how your final answer there comes. It's a good question that you can learn a lot from. Okay. Fine, guys. If you are completely blank, I know this would have not made sense. But if you know how this demand and supply works, I'm guessing it should have made perfect sense. Okay. That's question number 5. Okay. Right. So question number 45, we go with answer number. Okay, so the real, in case the past paper says a different answer, let me know. I also would have made a careless somewhere here and there. But if I'm not mistaken, if I did all this properly, that should be all right. Okay. So if you want, you can take a screenshot. I don't know if it is too small. Yeah. Okay, that's how this entire thing works. This is a very interesting stories, but you all need to learn these, right? Now, these are not things that you can memorize and go and answer the MCQ. You need to practically think and you answer. And these kind of MCQs will take some extra time than your normal time. Okay, 45 done. Then we'll go into, okay, there is no 46. Okay, that's all. Okay, so how many right? All right, no? Okay, so yes, 1, 2. Apart from the last one, I don't think anything was challenging at all. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 4. Yes, should have got 4 out of 4, right? No problem. 3. So then we'll go into 2016. Okay. Yes, I don't care if how much you all get right, as long as you all have learned how to do it. That's perfectly fine. Even if you got 0 out of 4, as long as you've attempted the paper, as long as you know how to do it now, that's all that matters, right? Because we are not coming here knowing everything. No? If you do all the past papers, then you will not be here in the first place. Okay? Right. Simple things, guys. Again, another TOT question based on the numbers. So consider the following table: export price index and the terms of trade. From this data, the possible conclusion that can be drawn. So over the period, okay, so TOT is equal to what? Your export price index divided by your import price index, right? So export price index divided by your import price index. So in this context, what are they telling us? So over the years, can you tell me what has happened to the export price index? 190, 80, increased or decreased? The export price index. Let's look at the numbers and tell 190 and 80. It has decreased, right? Your export price index has fallen. Okay, so over the years, what has happened? This number has fallen. What has happened to your terms of trade? 180, 60, that has fallen even more, right? So why do you think, now come on, now this is based on, this is your basic maths, guys, right? This export price index has fallen, the terms of trade has fallen even more. What can you tell about the import price index? What would have caused this? The import price index was increasing, no? So if export price index falls, for the TOT to fall a lot, right, your export price index would have been increasing. These are basic, maths, knowing about your numerator and denominator. Okay, so you can say that import prices were rising. Simple as that. Okay, that's 2016. Then we'll move on to 2016, that is 38. Okay, we'll move on to 39. Okay, which of the following is correct of a country that does not have an absolute advantage in producing any good or service? So there is a country, they don't have the absolute advantage for any good. So which of this is correct? It cannot have a comparative advantage either. Correct or wrong? Just because it doesn't have the absolute advantage for any good, can we say that it can't have the comparative advantage also? Wrong, no? It might have the comparative advantage, no? So whatever good it can produce at a lower opportunity cost, it might have the comparative advantage. So this one is wrong. So it will have the comparative advantage in the production of the good or service in which it will have a comparative advantage in the production of the good or service in which it has a lower opportunity cost. Yes or no? Correct, right? Whether you have absolute advantage or not, right? You will have the comparative advantage in whatever good that you have the lower opportunity cost. So that is correct, right? That is correct. It will export raw materials, import finished goods. This you can't say, guys. You don't even have enough information to say this, right? No country will want to trade with this country. It is not cost efficient to do so. You can't say that based on absolute advantage, right? Right? Maybe if the country does not have a comparative advantage, then you can say that. But here you don't know whether they have a comparative advantage or not. So you can't say that no country will be able to trade. Right? Based on absolute advantage, you can't give that conclusion. And then international value of its currency will be fixed. There is nothing like that case. Just because they don't have absolute advantage doesn't mean they will have a fixed exchange rate. Right? So it's a very simple one, guys, coming basic from your theory. Right? So what are they saying? Just because you don't have your absolute advantage, right? If you have the low opportunity cost of producing some good, you will have the comparative advantage of that good. Okay, that is why, no, guys, now that is why that was the fault in the absolute advantage theory. And remember when I was explaining this whole story to you all, when I was teaching this to you all in the revision class or theory class or whatever class, right? I told you that why do we have two theories? We have two theories, absolute advantage and comparative advantage, because absolute advantage had a flaw, meaning that there are situations where one country has the absolute advantage for both the good, or one country does not have the absolute advantage for any good. So then there can't be trade. So because of that problem only, they identified something called a comparative one to find the solution for that. So then they felt that absolute advantage is not adequate theory to determine international trade. You need comparative advantage. So then you found opportunity cost. Then you solve that problem where one country will not have the opportunity cost advantage for both the things, right? They will only have for one. That's where that whole thing went, right? If you remember that story on everything, that should be an easy question there. So 39, there is 2. Okay, done. Then we're going into 40. Okay, easy one, guys. The demand for Sri Lankan rupees in the foreign exchange market is derived from, guys, when you say demand for Sri Lankan rupees, look at situations where Sri Lanka is getting money. So if Sri Lanka is getting money, then there will be a demand. Exports from Sri Lanka, will there be a demand for money? Yes or no? When Sri Lanka exports, will there be a demand for money? Yes, right? People have to pay us, no? So we will get money. When there are capital outflows, are we getting money? No. Capital outflows, we are investing somewhere else. So no. So then we are looking at an answer that has both, right? So this is not the answer. Exports from Sri Lanka, yes, they're getting money. Capital inflows to Sri Lanka, yes, no. So people are investing on maybe foreign direct investment, maybe portfolio investments. They're coming investing in Sri Lanka. So yes, they're getting money. So that will be your answer, right? So we look at the other answers also. Imports to Sri Lanka, guys. When you import, money goes out, right? So again, when you capital outflows, money goes out. Imports, money goes out. Capital inflows, yes, money comes in. Sri Lankan government holding external reserves that is not causing any demand or supply. Okay, so 40 answer is number 2. Guys, these are very basic questions, right? If you all know the theory behind it, it's a very easy question. Don't think too much. If you all are completely lost, guys, study the unit and then give it a try. Trust me, it's easy. Okay, right. 41. Which of the following statements about comparative advantage is correct? Comparative advantage is based solely on differences in climate. Solely means only. Yes or no? The only reason for comparative advantage is differences in climate? No, right? That is not the only reason. Right? You have so many other reasons. So therefore, that is wrong. Okay. Comparative advantage is based solely on the differences of factor endowment. Only on the differences of factors of production that the countries have. Yes or no? Again, no, right? It's not just the factor endowment, it's more factor endowment, climate, location, your differences in your resources, the quality of your resources, right? All of that. Then, to have a comparative advantage, a country must also have an absolute advantage. Yes or no? No, right? We discussed that even in the previous question. Even without having an absolute advantage, you still can have a comparative advantage. So to have a comparative advantage, there is no rule saying that you have to have an absolute advantage. Okay, that's also wrong. A country with a rising price level will lose any existing comparative advantage. And the fifth one that says a comparative advantage for certain products may be created by prudential policies of the government. Yes, both look somewhat correct. One statement of this is half correct. Which one is the better answer here? 4 or 5? Which one is a better answer? About comparative, which one is correct here? Yes, the answer is number 5 here, right? I will argue why. Okay, maybe 5 is not there, you can say 4 is correct. Okay, now in 4 they say a country with a rising price level. Yes, guys, now if your prices increase, yes, that is unfair for you, it's bad for you. But just because prices are increasing, right, you can't say that it will lose any existing competitor, that whatever competitive advantage that they had, they will be losing. You can't necessarily say. They might lose, they might not lose, right? Maybe their prices are rising, but what if it is still lower than the other country? Now let's say Sri Lanka's prices are rising, but if it's still lower than USA, we still have the advantage, no? So you can't say that just because the prices are rising, all your competitive advantage is going to go off. You can't say that, right? So that is why that one is wrong there. So fifth one is correct because we say a comparison to certain products may be created by prudential policies of the government. Guys, these are like government policies, guys. Let's say government taxes, government subsidies. Now, for example, right? Maybe if the government can give in a subsidy for, let's say, these let's say garment manufacturers in Sri Lanka. So what does that mean? That means the garment manufacturer in Sri Lanka can now produce at lesser cost. Will have some advantage there, meaning they should be able to get some comparative advantage compared to other countries. So yes, government policies, guys, remember, just go and check in your tute, right? In whatever tute that you are studying, the what causes of comparative advantage or the determinants or the reasons for comparative advantage, there will be one that says government policies. I can't remember if my tute says, but if someone can check and let me know, does my tute also have something that it should have reasons for comparative advantage somewhere? Because then the mock exam Q also. Yes. There should be something that says government policies. Just check. If I have not included, in my queue, go and include. Okay, correct. So that is your answer. Sorry. Is how is studying going these days? Did things get boring, and how are things going? With A levels being postponed and with not knowing when. But then I think they're starting schools, right? There are some schools that have been started already. These small schools, the primary grades. I think they're starting something. Yeah. So I think that means you all might also start. I don't know whether they'll start for y'all or they will say the syllabus is over for y'all and start someone else. It's starting on the 25th, really. Yeah, not bad. So it's good to go back now. 25th is Monday. So y'all are all starting on Monday? No? Monday morning, all of y'all are going back to school? That's for primary. Okay, I don't know. Not bad though. It'll be nice to go back to school though. At least you can at least talk and gossip and wait. Only for small ones, no? Okay, I'm not very sure. Okay. Did you all get vaccinated? Yes, no? I saw our school, they were vaccinating students these days. In Mount. No? Isn't your school getting you all vaccinated, or are you all just going outside somewhere and getting vaccinated? I saw in our school they were having some vaccinating thing. So I think schools are doing something. Got the first dose yesterday. Nice. I also got both the doses. After the first dose, I actually got fever, but then the second dose was all right. No problem. Everything was cool and shit. Right. Okay. Nice to go back to school, no? After a long time. So you all got Pfizer. I got, what did I get? I got AstraZeneca. That's what they gave at uni. Can't complain. No, what they give, you go and take. Right? So they went, we went and okay. So, but I think everything is fine. Guys. This is just, people coming up with different things, right? Come on. For a vaccine to get approved and come to the market, right? There is a huge process that is there. So if the vaccine is not of proper standard, or if the vaccine is not really doing its purpose, in the first place, it would not be in the market case, right? Any joker can't be making a vaccine and putting it in the market out there, right? So if a vaccine is out behind the market from Sinopharm to anything, that means it has passed the 100, 200 tests, and then it has all been approved only and come there. So a vaccine that has come that way, you can't really say it's bad. Maybe yes, compared to another one, it may be a little less effective, but that does not mean it will be ineffective at all. Okay. Right. So other things being unchanged, appreciation of the domestic currency. What happens? If the domestic currency appreciates, lowers the domestic price of imported goods. Yes or no? When your currency appreciates, does it lowers the domestic price of imported goods? Think. Okay, we'll leave that. Okay. If your currency appreciates, does it raise the domestic price of imported goods? Definitely no, guys. Right? If your currency appreciates, now you pay less, right? You pay less now. So we'll eliminate answers and okay. Your currency appreciates, raises the world price of imported goods, lowers the world price of imported goods. Guys, the world price is not going to get affected just because your thing is appreciating or depreciating, guys. It will become cheaper or expensive for you, but it's not going to be cheap or expensive for the world, no. Just because your currency is appreciating or depreciating. For you, yes, it might be cheap or expensive. So just because your currency is appreciating or depreciating, you can't comment on the world price, right? So raises the world price or this thing, you can't really say, guys, of the imported goods, right? Because some other country is importing, you don't know. Appreciation lowers the value of the domestic currency in a foreign country. Does it lower the value of the domestic currency? No. It increases the value of the domestic currency. Now the domestic values currency is much more powerful, right? Guys, we're talking about value. We're not talking about a number here. Okay. So lowers your domestic currency foreign country. Again, you can say no. So you end up with the answer number 1. So when your currency appreciates, guys, what happens? When your currency appreciates, now for whatever good that you're importing, you have to pay less, no? Right? Earlier, let's say, let's say earlier you were importing $1 worth of good. So you had to pay, right? Let's say domestic thing, let's say you had to pay 200 rupees. That was your price that you paid. But now, let's say you're buying something from eBay, guys, right? Now, because your currency has appreciated, you now only have to pay, let's say, 170 rupees, right? So the domestic price that you pay, earlier domestic price means your LKR. Earlier, the domestic price you paid is a 200. But now, because this has appreciated, now the domestic price you pay is only 170. So what has happened to the domestic price that you pay? It has fallen, no? It lowers the domestic price. So you end up with answer number 2. Yes, if any of the answer that I'm saying contradicts with the answer in the marking scheme or your past paper book, let me know, okay? Maybe they're thinking a little different, but generally, this is what my explanation is. Fine, 42, answer number 1. Okay, right. Then we'll go into the next one, 43. Okay, this should be a very easy one. I have done double entry like 100 times with, I don't know, fast track to this class to everything. I've done like so many times. Okay, so suppose a Sri Lankan company receives a 40 million dividend from its garment factory located in Middle East. How would this transaction be recorded in the balance of payment on double entry? Okay. Yes, appreciation is where the value of your currency is. Okay, difference between appreciation and depreciation, right? So where the value of your currency now, yeah, your currency is becoming much more stronger, no? Earlier, to buy $1, you had to pay 200. Like you have to give up 200 LKR. But now, to buy $1, you're only giving up 170 LKR. Meaning, your exchange rate, the Sri Lankan rupee, has appreciated. The value of the Sri Lankan rupee has increased. Now, if it goes this way, right? Is why are you all requesting control of my screen? $1 equals, let's say, 220 LKR. Now, if this is what is happening, then what is happening, guys? This is a depreciation of the exchange rate. What does that mean? That means now to buy something worth $1, you have to give 220 rupees away. So this is a depreciation, right? This is a depreciation. This is an appreciation. So be very careful. The value increasing doesn't mean it's an appreciation, right? The value increasing is actually a depreciation. Okay, so this comes from the basics. Just check whatever tune that you have been studying. I think it should be there. Okay, tell me this. Now, Sri Lankan people are receiving a dividend, guys. Okay, so if you're receiving money, which account? What is the first thing that I have told you? First thing you figure out whether you're getting cash or giving cash. Are you getting money or are you giving money? You're getting money, no? Sri Lankan company is receiving a dividend. So what do? The first thing you do is you go to the financial account. Without figuring the other account, go to the financial account and say debit financial account, currency and deposits. Okay. Financial account, currency and deposits. So then where does dividends go under, guys? Which account where? Dividends is in the current account. What is the sub account? Primary income, no? Rent, interest, dividends, profits, all of that goes in the primary account, no? So you credit current account where? The primary income. Okay. That is what you do. So they have not even gone into depth and asking what is the sub account and all. They have just said this and this. So see which one is the answer. The fourth one. Yeah. Okay. You credit the current account and debit the okay, these are very basic questions. Right? If you all get it, you all should be able to get it. Right. The moment you see it, there should be a smile on your face. If it doesn't, then there is a problem. Okay. So 43 is done. Okay. So there is no 44. Yes. this financial account, guys, is a basic thing, right? It comes based on whether you get money or whether you pay money. So if you're getting money into your country, it's debit financial account, currency and deposit. If you're paying money, it's credit financial account, currency. The first thing that you do when you get a transaction is figure out that are you getting money or are you paying money, and after that automatically other one you can find out. Okay, right. Okay, done. That's 2016. 1 2 3 4 5 6 6 of 6 is done. In the 40th question, in fifth option, is there any patient with import and export? 40th question, fifth option. Not really. Government holding excess any external reserves, you can't say that there'll be a demand for the Sri Lankan rupee. Just because they hold external reserves, you can't say. But maybe if they sell off their external reserves, maybe they have US dollars and they're selling off the US dollars and buying rupees, then you can say. But just holding external reserves, you can't say that there'll be a demand. Where to get Pfizer injections in Colombo? I also don't know, but I don't think you can just get the Pfizer injection unless you have in school. Maybe they is in school. Is every school giving you all Pfizer, or different schools are giving all different stuff? In school, those who got vaccinated from school, what are they giving you all? In school, they're giving you Pfizer, right? So maybe the only place you can get Pfizer is from this thing, or else what you can do is if you're going abroad, if you have like a university certificate that you're going abroad or something, then you can get it from I think this army hospital. You can get, but then for that you can't just go and get it, guys. You have to submit your documents and you need to go and take that. Otherwise, I don't think they'll give you. But yeah, but wait for school, guys. Why? No, I think the school will definitely give that. Right, 2017. Okay, guys. Okay. So 2017, now a common question that we always get, right? The comparative advantage and the absolute advantage question. Okay. So here they say, if in Japan, it takes 50 labor hours to produce. Private students case, I don't really know, but I think you all can right now. They are vaccinating people below 20 on the normal places, on the normal vaccine places also, from Viharamadevi to, I don't know, all the normal places around your place also. Now yes, they were vaccinating people below 20. No? I'm not mistaken. Just check. Okay. Okay. So in Japan, it takes 50 labor hours to produce 1 unit of cloth and 100 labor hours to produce 1 unit of rice. In Thailand, it takes 200 labor hours to produce 1 unit of cloth and 200 labor hours to produce 1 unit of rice. Which of the following statement is true? Okay. So based on this case, can you all tell me, is it input data or output data? What numbers have they given us? They have given us input data, right? They talk about labor hours. So maybe, guys, you can convert this into a table if you all want to, right? So you have the two countries, Japan and Thailand, right? So you have the two goods. What are the two goods? I think it's cloth and rice, right? Very common question, guys, right? Cloth and rice. And then, so they say Japan can produce, it takes 50 hours to produce 1 unit of cloth, 100 to produce 1 unit of rice, right? And then okay, they've given a timetable for Panaduru Pfizer. Okay, I don't know, guys. Just check if you're around there, then go and see if you can. I send you on the chat. I did not get anything on the chat. Okay, so Thailand, 200 and 200. Okay, WhatsApp. Okay, I'll see. If I get any information, I will pass it around, guys. Okay, right. So this is the numbers that they have, guys. So based on this, how can we find comparative advantage? You simply, right? Remember, you use the shortcut here, guys, right? So if it's input, you simply divide 50 by 200. So 50 divided by 200 is 0.5 divided by 20. 1 divided by 4, 0.25. Yeah, 0.25. 200 divided by 50 is 4. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way. This is It's 50 divided by 100. Hold on. Wrong. Okay, board is also stuck. Okay, so it's 50 divided by 100, guys. Sorry, not this way. You compare the two goods of the same country. 0.5 100 divided by this thing is 2. Here you get 200 divided by 200 is 1. This way also it's 1. So this is the opportunity cost numbers for the two countries. So I'll convert that into another color and I'll put it over here. Okay, so then tell me, for cloth, who has the low opportunity cost, Japan or Thailand? Who has the low opportunity cost for cloth? Right, Japan. No, so Japan has the low opportunity cost, 0.5. Then for rice you have Thailand, who has the lower opportunity cost. Right. So then based on this, what can you say? Okay, what can you say about absolute advantage? Absolute advantage, what can you say? For cloth, who now, if it's input data, whichever country that uses lesser input, right? So for cloth, Japan uses 50 labor hours, Thailand uses 200 labor hours. So who is the country? It's Japan, right? Remember, input data, the lower one. And then for rice, again Japan, no, Japan only uses 100, right? So again Japan. Then if you look at comparative advantage, comparative advantage, what can you tell over here? For cloth, who has the comparative advantage? Japan, no? Japan for cloth. And then who has the comparative advantage for rice? For rice, it is Thai. So guys, once you all have figured these out, right? Now this is like the, I don't know, 10th time we are doing a question like this, right? So once you all have figured this out, then go and can you all tell me which one is the answer? The third one, Japan has the comparative advantage in the production of cloth. Yeah, that ends up with, that becomes your answer. These are very simple ones, right? Now, by now, you all should be able to get this completely correct, right? The moment you see a question like this, you should be able to do it. The same question is repeated over and over again. They either give a table or they either give a, you know, a paragraph like this, and they ask you different stuff. Okay, done. Okay, 42. International trade permits a country to produce and consume beyond its production possibility boundary, shift its production possibility boundary outward, lower the per unit production cost of all goods which it is producing, expand its production possibilities while holding constant its consumption possibilities, consume beyond its production possibilities. Yes, because of international trade, what happens, guys? What happens? So you have your PPC, right? Absolute rice is Thailand. Absolute advantage for rice. No, Japan. Japan can produce at less. So Japan is taking 100 labor units. Thailand is taking 200 labor units. So Japan is taking lesser labor units. So Japan has the absolute advantage for both the goods. Okay. Okay. So because of international trade, guys, what happens? Now this is your PPC, right? When you specialize and when you do all of that, what happens here, guys? Okay, now let's say you specialize on one good. It's something like this, no? It's not your PPC that is changing, right? It's something called a CPC, right? Your consumption possibility curve, right? Your CP. See, I've included a few a few questions on the mock exam series also. We'll work on that, right? On how do you calculate the numbers to all of those. So guys, this is what you call a CPC. Now, when you have international trade, right? Because of international trade, what you can do? You are able to consume at a point outside your people. You can't say you're producing at a point outside. No, you're producing within, guys. You specialize in one of these goods, right? Let's say you specialize in this. And then what you do? You exchange a certain quantity, right? Let's say exchange rate 1:1 or something. And then you can consume a point beyond the PPC, right? So you can't say you're producing at a point beyond PPC. No. So produce and consume beyond PPC can't, right? Shift the PPC? No, guys, it doesn't really shift the PPC. It's something called a CPC, technical term, the consumption possibility curve. Okay. So then lower the per unit cost of all the goods? No. Expand the PPC while holding consumption possibility constant? No. So you end up with answer number 5. The consume beyond its production possibility boundary. So production possibility boundary is this, the PPC, but you are able to consume beyond. You're consuming in at this point, right? So that is what happens with international trade. So 42 is answer number 5. Then we get into 43. Okay, this one, guys. The current account plus the financial account of the balance of payment is equal to what? 0, 1, trade balance, net capital account balance, net international reserve. How do you get this, guys? The current and the capital, sorry, the current and the financial is equal to 43, 2017, 43. Give me an answer. What do you all think? The current account plus the capital account? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one. Okay. Yes. What is usually the overall balance of the balance of payment? The overall balance. What can you tell about the overall balance? Ideally, the overall balance of the BOP has to be 0, right? But then you don't have an overall balance of 0 because it's calculated in a different way. But ideally, if what has to happen is your current and capital account balance will kind of equal to your financial account balance. There is something like that, right? So overall balance, yes, can be 0 if the BOP balances. That is what you see the BOP balances means, right? Overall balance is kind of a 0. But then you do have overall balance because now overall balance is calculated in a separate way, which you all don't really have to know into detail. But then what can you say about this, guys? The answer here is the 4th one, right? The current account plus the financial account is the net capital account balance, right? So in simple terms, guys, okay, how can I tell this to you all? How can I show this? Okay, so this is not 100% correct, but I will say something like this, right? So the current account plus the capital account, right? You move things around will equal to somewhat of your financial account balance, right? But this is not 100% correct, so don't go and write this anywhere, or don't come and argue with me saying, sir, you said something like this, but there is something like this in the previous way of calculating, but now there is nothing like that. So don't worry too much, right? Remember, in this context, this plus this is the net capital account balance. Okay. Then 44. Okay, again, an easy one, right? If the price of the Japanese yen declines considerably against the Sri Lankan rupee. Okay, first of all, guys, again, figure out what is happening to the Sri Lankan rupee. LKR, whether it's appreciating or whether LKR is depreciating. Think carefully. That is the first thing that you have to think, guys. Because if you get that wrong, your whole thing is wrong. The price of Japanese yen declines considerably against the Sri Lankan rupee. The LKR is kind of appreciating, no? The LKR appreciates, and then the yen depreciates. Okay, so then find an answer that gives you this story, right? Find an answer that gives you this story. So if the LKR appreciates and yen depreciates, Sri Lankan goods will be relatively cheaper for Japanese consumers. Yes. Will Sri Lankan goods be cheaper? No. For Japanese guys, because their currency is now depreciated, it will be expensive for them. So no. Right? Japanese goods are relatively cheaper for Sri Lankan consumers. Yes. That can be the answer. We'll look at 3. Demand for Sri Lankan rupees would increase in Japan? No. They are not going to import our stuff. No? So they're not going to pay us really. So that's not going to happen, right? It would encourage more Japanese tourists? Again, no, because their currency now it's very expensive for them to come over here, right? No. It would discourage more Sri Lankan tourists? No, it would encourage Sri Lankan tourists to go to Japan. So again, no. In this context, right now, even if you all can't find this, whether it's appreciating or depreciating, right? In 4 of the answers, right? 4 answers will talk of the same one side of the story. Only there will be one answer that talks of the other side. So if you are even smart enough to do that, you still can find the answer. You don't have to properly find out whether this appreciates or depreciates. But this would be nice. You can do that. But even without doing that, if you are smart enough, right, you can find out the common reasons here. Right now, all of these others talk about the other side of it. So only number 2 talks of the opposite angle. So be smart enough when you're answering an MCQ. That's up to you all guys, right? So that's 44. Then, okay, there is no 45. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 4 out of 4, yes, no? None? 2017. Okay. Then we get into 2018. Okay. So 2018 A levels. Okay. At present, Sri Lanka's main destination of exports and main origin of imports. Guys, exports is very easy, guys. Where is our exports going to? Right? It's always one place. Exports are always going to USA, right? There is no country that is even close, right? So USA is the export market. So then these, and these are cancelled. Where is our imports coming from? Mainly China and India, right? So according to, okay, now these are 2018 question, right? So according to 2018, yes, it's 2. According to 2020 CBSL report, what is the country, guys? 2020 CBSL report. Where is more money coming? China or India? If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember. I also don't know. You want me to check? Hold on. CBSL. Okay, so we'll say main. We can even Google that. Main import origin of Sri Lanka in 2020. China, no? Import sources also, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let me check with the CBSL report itself. CBSL report 2020 or 20. We'll check with 2020. Hold on, loading. Annual report 2020. You go to this case. Are you all okay? Do you all usually go through central bank reports? No, never even touch it. It's just there for the fun of it. External sector development and policy. Okay, no, they don't even touch it. Please read the central bank report, guys. Now you all have extra time, no? Right? So given that you have extra time, you can, learn a lot of things, especially on what has happened due to COVID, right? And all of that you can. There's a lot of things that you all can learn. 2% and 19%. Okay, hold on, please. Export, are they showing a destination here? Export, there is no destination here, but then no. Export, import, composition. Where is the country-wise breakdown? I can't find the countries. Even if I remember page, please let me know. There is a country-wise chart which I can't find. Is up. Is it over here? Exports, imports. There is no countries here. That is the number. Composition of exports is trade deficit. Okay, I can search for China. Okay, okay, direction of trade. Okay, yeah, okay. So these are the numbers by 2020, right? So look at, I think this diagram was there in my tutor also. So export destination, guys, it's USA, right? So 25% USA, that's clear. Now, if you look at imports, right, in 2020, okay, see, China is a 22%, India is a 19%. But I think in 2019, India was more, if I'm not mistaken. Just go, you can go and check the 2019 CBSL report. But now again, remember, right now, so just like in 2018, just like the 2018 past paper question, if they ask for this year also, you write the same thing, right? So USA for exports, China for imports. 2019 is all China. Okay, I can't remember exactly, but I remember it was close though. Okay. Okay, 2018 is India. Okay, maybe. Okay, so in this context, you go with United States for main export and then China for main import also. Okay, that thing is done. Then we'll go into question 41. Okay, so again, a terms of trade question, right? A common question that they ask every single year. A country's terms of trade increased from the base year value to 130. In the following year, what changes in export prices and import prices would have caused? Yes, for something like this, you have to be a little smart also, right? So TOT, you know, is your export price index, right? Divided by your import, right? Import price index. So in this context, right? To find your export price index and import price, now they are telling you, okay? In this, they're telling you, right, that the terms of trade has increased from 100 to 130. And so there is a 30% increase there. So this has become 130. So how can this become 130? What do you all think would have happened, guys? Think and tell me. What do you think would have happened to this? If you want, you can do the calculation, guys. So all of this, you can do the calculation and see where does the answer 130 come. So this is, you know, it's a multiplied by 100 also. So it's multiplied by 100. So you can put in the calculation and see, right? Easy question. Okay, so if you look at answer number, question number 1, so if it's export price index increased by 30% means it's 130. Import price index fallen by 10% means 90. So guys, give me answers for all of this. How much is this? 130 divided by 90 into 100. How much you get the TOTS? Export price index has increased by 30%, so 100 became 130. Import price index, this decreased by, this decreased by 30, so it has to be 70. Then this increased by 10%, which world was I at? 110. Okay, give me an answer for this. This is 144. Yes. 0.2. 77. Okay. Okay, so we're looking at the answer where you get how much? Where you get 130, right? Okay, so second one, export price index fell by 20%. So base year export price index 100 fell by 20% means it is now 80. Import price index has decreased by 10%. So that's 90. You multiply that by 100. How much do we get? How much do we get? 80 divided by 9 into 100. 88. Okay, so that's 88. The third one increased by 30. So 130. This remains unchanged. So this is still at 100. Right? Your import price index is still at 100. If that is the case, how much is your export price index? Your TOT. That's 130, right? So that has to be your answer. The other one, increased by 10%, so 110 divided by decreased by 20%, 80 into 100. So you will get different answers, guys. So I'm not going to work everything. You can work and see. So you all will realize that in which place do you get a answer of 130. You get 130. This is 137.5. Okay, you get an answer of 130 in question answer number. So you should be able to figure that out. Then we'll go into 42. Okay, right. A country can have an increased surplus in its balance of trade as a result of what? Can increase its surplus where so how do you increase your surplus in your balance of trade, guys? So how do you calculate your balance of trade? Your balance of trade is equal to your exports minus your imports, right? So how do you increase the surplus, guys? To increase the surplus of balance of trade, one thing, you either have to increase your exports or decrease your imports. One of the two, right? Okay. So if there is if there is an increase in domestic inflation, that would go the other way. No? Your exports would fall, imports would increase. So not this, wrong. A declining imports and rising exports. So declining imports, rising exports. Yes, that could be the answer. So the other one, higher tariffs imposed by the trading partners. So trading partners means other countries have imposed tariffs on us. So if other countries impose tariff on us, our exports will fall, right? Because our exports are expensive, they are taxing our export, right? So wrong. Increase in foreign direct investment does not affect your balance of trade, right? Appreciation of the currency, again, your exports will fall, imports will increase, given that Marshall-Lerner condition holds. Okay, so 42, there we get an easy answer of this kind. So simple things, right? If you know what is the balance of trade, right, then answering this question is nothing. You simply have to figure out how do you improve the balance of trade by increasing your exports or reducing your imports or both. So simple answer. There's a direct answer that is there in 42. Okay, right. Okay, so then I think 43 is from unit number 11 and 12. So that's why I would have skipped 43 and I'm coming to 44 here now. Okay, right. Think and tell me here, guys. I'll give you all like a second to read the question. Read and tell me. Give me an answer. I'll give you 1 minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C, D, E. So they're saying the diagram below shows the demand for Sri Lankan rupees and the supply of Sri Lankan rupees in the foreign exchange market for yen. Okay. So they say the market is initially at equilibrium. Okay, the market is initially at equilibrium at point K. This is where they are at equilibrium initially. Okay. So what would be the new equilibrium point in the foreign exchange market after, in the foreign exchange market, an increase in demand for imported cars owing to a substantial reduction in duty on imported cars in Sri Lanka? Yes, what do you think happens here? Sri Lanka, okay, they have confused the whole thing, no, saying import and all. What is the summary of this? What is basically happening here? Right? Basically, they are saying, right, import duty in Sri Lanka has fallen, right? Import duty in Sri Lanka has fallen, right? So because of that, what is happening? Therefore, they are importing more cars, right? Therefore, Sri Lanka is importing more cars. So guys, when you import, what can you tell about the demand and the supply? What is affected, guys? When you import, you have to pay money. So what happens here? Is it your import or export? What happens? The supply increases, no? Supply of LKR increases. You're importing, you're paying off money. So which one shows a increase in the supply? So if your supply is going to increase, guys, it's going to be a rightward shift. So this is the demand and the supply of LKR, right? So supply of LKR is increasing. So from point K to which point will you move now? Your initial equilibrium is this, right? Your initial, where will you move, guys? Just think and tell me. You were, this was your demand curve, okay? This was your, hold on, okay. I'll use a highlighter or something. Okay, so guys, this is a simple question. You were initially at equilibrium here, guys, right? This, you were at equilibrium here and here. So now your supply is moving to the right. So now you have a new supply curve. So where are you at equilibrium? You are at equilibrium here now at point D. That is your answer. Guys, they are initially at equilibrium at K. Remember that, right? Initial equilibrium at K. So you're at K, and then wait, is your demand chain? Did I miss any part? What could be the new equilibrium in the foreign exchange market if the foreign exchange market an increase in demand for imported cars? So demand for imported cars increase, that means you're importing more, owing to a substantial reduction in the duty on imported cars. This demand doesn't, guys, can you someone check the answer and let me know if it is D? Yes. Or is the fast paper book saying something else? I don't think, right? Saying D, no? Oh, right. So how can you conclude that the demand is increasing, guys? There is no story that says the demand for increasing. No? So how can you say point C? You are at equilibrium here at K, right? So from K to go to C, then your demand also has to increase, your supply also has to increase. But where are they saying that the demand for Sri Lankan rupee is increasing here? They are only saying that Sri Lanka's import duty that has been charged has fallen. So now Sri Lanka is importing more cars. So Sri Lanka is importing more cars means we are now supplying our LKR. So supply of LKR increase, right? But there is no part that says this happens, right? So you can't conclude this. Sorry, not this. You can't conclude this part. You can only say that this is coming here. So the correct one is K coming into D. Only the supply curve is shifting to the right. Supply is increasing. So initial equilibrium K, now it's going to D. Okay. So that's 40. Oh, that's a good question, guys. Right? You can learn a lot from that. 44 done. Yeah. Okay, that is basically it with that. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we have 3 more papers left. I think we should be able to finish off those. So this is the 2019, the old syllabus paper. The other papers I don't have in my whiteboard. I'll get into that in the past paper itself. Okay, so 39, guys, what can you say about 39? Which of the following countries entered into a free trade agreement with Sri Lanka most recently? Which country? Right, in 2018, guys, it was Singapore who got into a free trade agreement recently, right? In 20 recent, yeah. Now Pakistan, India, all of them also have got into free trade agreements, but recently who got into one? In 2018, it was Singapore who got it. So 2018 they got in the 2019 old syllabus paper. The question came. Then okay, now this is also a very easy one, right? So what can you say on this context, guys? Now also I think it's Singapore. I'm not very sure if they got into anything new now. Okay, so terms of trade again is your what? Is equal to your export price index divided by your import price index. So what is happening over here, guys? So here they are saying from 2014 to 16 to 18, all these years, what is happening? Your commodity terms of trade is improving, right? So 100, 110, 134. So how can this happen? That is what they're asking. So how do you think this can happen? So it can be concluded from the data that what has happened, guys. So export prices rose relatively faster than import prices. Yes. Could that be an answer? That export prices increased by a lot, import prices increased only a little. Because of that, can TOT increase? Yes or no? Your numerator increases a lot, your denominator increases only by a little. Can, no? That is the answer. Right? That is the answer. Import prices rose relative to export prices, then no. If import prices rose more, then your TOT would have fallen. Right? No. Volume of exports, guys. Remember the first things that I told you. When they say commodity terms of trade, or in general, when they say terms of trade, can you comment on the volume? No. That is income terms of trade, right? When they say income terms of trade, then you can talk about the volume and stuff. Just when they say commodity terms of trade, you can't say anything about the volume. So this one, you don't have enough information to talk about this. Okay, the balance of trade surplus increased. This also you can't really say, guys. Okay, so you can generally get into answer number 1. It's a very easy question, guys. Okay, so 40 is 1. Then we'll go into 41. Okay, think of this. Consider that Canada provides a financial grant to build a reservoir to generate hydropower in a developing country. This will be entered in Canada's balance of payment as. Okay, Canada is providing a financial grant. So for Canada, is money going in or money coming out? Canada's perspective. Money is going out, right? They are giving a grant, right? So then what do you say? Credit, financial account, currency and deposits. Right, now good question. Where do these financial grants and stuff goes, guys? Where do these go? Where do these fall under? Can someone tell me this? A country is giving a financial grant. Okay, no. I'm not asking you for a country, guys. I'm asking you which account. Guys, are these current transfers or capital transfers? A country providing a financial grant to another country. It's a capital transfer, right? Where do you have capital transfers? In which account? In the capital account, no? Remember, capital account has all these non-produced, non-monetary, and it also has capital transfers. So it's debit your capital account. Debit capital account. In the capital account, you have something called capital transfers. Go and check your note. There has to be something like this under your capital account. I think my one did not include, and I made that correction. If I'm not mistaken, I remember I made some small correction somewhere and I included capital transfers. Go and check. Okay. So which one is our answer? Yeah, we can go with answer number 1 then. Debit in the capital account, debit in the finance account, no. Debit in the service account, no. Credit in the primary account, no. Credit in the second, no. Okay. So it's a debit in the capital. Guys, can someone check the answer and also tell me if it is 1 in the past paper? Yes. Past paper. Okay, no one has the answer. 2019. Okay, but okay, this should be correct. Right, so 41. Here is 1. Then, okay, 42. Right? Okay. Which is likely to be the effect of a depreciation of a country's currency, guys? When a country's currency depreciates, what happens? Increase in the rate of inflation, decrease in the profit margins of exports, increase in unemployment, improvement of the terms of trade. Slides. You want me to send this entire slides from the beginning to screenshot? That will take an entire hour. These are not slides here, these are the whole entire whiteboard that I have. Right, so we'll see. Okay. Right. Okay. Which one? Okay. What do you all think is the answer here, guys? When there is a depreciation of the country's exchange rate? It's a good question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We'll eliminate little by little. Okay. So when there is a depreciation, meaning your currency's value is going down, right? an increase in the rate of inflation, you can argue to some extent, right? So we'll leave this, right? A decrease in the profit margin of exports. If your currency depreciates, your goods become relatively more cheaper. No, there will not be a decrease in this thing, right? Past paper says number two for this one, or number two for the previous one? $41 or $42? This one? A debit in the financial account. Consider that Canada provides a finance. Okay, this is the old past paper. Okay, give me a second. I also should have the mark. Econ past papers 2019 old syllabus. Hold on. This is the 2019 old syllabus. Why does it say 2? $41. 41 says 2, no? Why does it say 2? Hold on. Consider that Canada provides a financial grant. Canada is giving money off. Canada provides a financial grant to build a reservoir to generate hydropower in a developing country. This will be entered in Canada's balance of payment. So Canada is giving money. So it's a credit in the financial account. Financial account, portfolio investment, foreign. It's not a foreign direct investment. They're giving a grant, no? Right? In Canada's balance of payment, Canada provides a financial grant. They are not getting a financial grant, they're providing a financial grant, right? That Canada provides a financial grant in a developing country. Can't be, guys. This has to be the answer. I will recheck and let you know if it can't go wrong this way. It can't. I don't know why it says 2. Okay, so just highlight this and keep. I will recheck and I will let you know, right? Why does this say a debit in the financial account? If someone has this thing, just can you just take a screenshot and maybe personally send it to me? Okay. I will recheck this so that I remember that there is something like that. Okay, it can't be this. I will still agree with my answer here. I will recheck and I'll let you know why they say 2. Okay. Right. Okay. 42. What can you say about 42, guys? It's a good question. Question 42. Right. Okay. So the first one can be the answer. We'll leave that. Right. We'll eliminate the others and come. We'll see if there's a better answer. A decrease in the profit margin for exports, guys? Not really, right? So when there is a depreciation of your exchange rate, right? You can't say that there's a decrease in the profit margin. You can actually earn more because you can now sell more. So no. Okay. Increase in unemployment. Do you think that there will be an increase in unemployment if your currency depreciates? Not really, guys. There will be an increase in employment. You know why? When your currency depreciates, now your exports are cheaper. So the demand for your exports are high, meaning now people are going to buy your exports, right? So you will be producing more and more exports. So to produce more and more exports, you will be giving more jobs out there. So you can't say there's an increase in unemployment. You can argue that there is a decrease in unemployment. Improvement in the terms of trade. Yeah. What can you say there, guys? The terms of trade is your export price index divided by your import price index. Now, when your currency depreciates, your export prices become cheaper. Your imports become expensive. So what happens to your TOT? Your TOT will fall. You can't say there is an improvement. That's also wrong. Okay. An increase in inflow of foreign capital funds. Again, you can't really argue there that there will be an inflow of foreign capital funds. No. Now, through exports, yes, there can be money coming in, but just because of a depreciation, you can't argue saying that there will be an increase in capital funds. That is like people buying shares, foreign direct investment. You can't really conclude that. Okay, so then you will end up with one answer left. That is the increase in the rate of inflation. Why is there an increase in rate of inflation? Guys, what kind of inflation are they talking over here? This is what you call imported inflation, right? Now, do you all realize that these days, because our exchange rate is depreciating and depreciating and depreciating, right? The prices that we pay also is increasing, right? From petrol to gas to everything. What does that mean? Earlier, for $1 worth of thing, earlier if you paid 200 rupees, now for $1 worth of thing, now you have to pay a 220, right? Because you're now in your domestic country, prices are high. You have to spend much more to buy that import. So you can argue saying that there is an increase in the rate of inflation. Okay, so 42, there is one. Then 43. Okay. Assume that under a fixed exchange rate system, a country's rate of inflation increases relative to its trading partners. An easy one. What are the most likely changes on imports and exports as a result of this? So if your country's inflation increases, what is going to happen? Are you going to import more or less? In your country, it's expensive now. Your country's prices have increased. So what are you going to do for your imports here? You're going to import more, no? Because your country is more expensive, you buy from another country. So imports will increase, guys. What will happen to exports? In your country, it's expensive. So people who are buying from your country will now not buy. So your exports are going to decrease. Which one is the answer there? You end up with answer number 3 for 43. Okay, easy one. Then, okay, I think that's all that is there in this. Let me share I have not put the other questions on my whiteboard. I'll share the past paper itself. 2019 new syllabus and the 2020 new. We'll finish that off, right? Or do you all want to drag it to the next class? I think we finished off. Okay. So the 2019. Okay, so this is the 20. This is 2020. Hold on. This is the 2019 new syllabus. Okay, so this is the 2019 paper, right? I think they should have around. We have discussed most of these guys, so it won't be that hard. Okay, we'll go with this. Okay, give me answers quick now, right? Okay, comparative advantage means that one country can produce what? More of a certain good than another country, a certain product at a lower marginal cost than the other country, a certain product at a lower long run average cost, a certain product at a lower opportunity cost, right? So that is the answer, right? That is the simple answer of what comparative advantage means. So comparative advantage is that a country can produce a product at a lower opportunity cost. Okay. So then 37. The table below shows the ability of a country X and Y to produce rice and coffee when they use all their resources for that product. So you have maximum output of rice, maximum output of coffee. So they have given output data. What is the correct thing? Okay, so if you look at absolute advantage, guys, who has the absolute advantage for rice? Who can produce more rice? It's country Y. Okay. Who has the absolute advantage for coffee? No one has the advantage for coffee. What can you tell about the comparative advantage? Comparative advantage. So if you calculate opportunity cost here, right? So it's 5,000 divided by 5,000. Here it's 1. Here again the opportunity cost is 1. Here it's 5,000 divided by 10,000, 0.5, and then you have 2. Okay. So country, okay, for rice, who has the lower opportunity cost? Country Y. For coffee, who has the lower opportunity cost? Country X. So country Y for rice, country X for coffee. So based on that, can you tell me which one is the answer, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. Country X has the comparative advantage in the production of coffee. So there is coffee, country X. Yeah, that is your answer, guys. So I'm not going to go through all the other answers. I'm hoping by now you all can figure that out. Okay, that's 37. Then, okay, a very easy one, which I have been doing over and over again. The formula, can, at least if you all were listening, can you all give me an answer? I would have written this formula down like 100 times on the whiteboard. To calculate a commodity terms of trade, it's what divided by what? It's your export price index divided by your import price index into 100. Okay, easy as ever. Done. Okay, 39. Which the following items is not included in the current account? Invisible exports, is it included or not in the current account? It is, right? That is your services, no? Right? Invisible exports means your services, it's included. Interest payments on foreign loans? Yes. Primary income. Remember, primary income, interest, dividends, rent, profit, everything. Profits earned from foreign investment? Yes. Primary income again, profits. Purchasing of foreign securities? That's financial account, no? That is portfolio investment. So you don't include that, right? So that is the answer. Food aid donated by the United Nations, that will go into your what? Trade account, right? They are giving you food. Okay, done. So then this 42 will be your answer. Sorry, 39, 4 will be your answer. Okay, then if you look at 40, in which of the following circumstances could the International Monetary Fund be called into assisting a country? When do they come to assist, guys? A trade dispute, a balance of payment crisis, a foreign investment dispute, an infrastructure funding shortage, an economic recession. Where will the BOP come, guys? The BOP comes when you have a balance of, sorry, not the BOP. The IMF comes when you have a balance of payment crisis. Yes, when there's a trade dispute, who would come? Who would usually come and try to sort it? The World Trade Organization, the WTO, right? So now, for example, if you have things like this, now, what? For example, economic recession, maybe these things, maybe these things, you can say the World Bank might come and help, right? Those stuff. Okay. So a trade dispute between two countries, not trade union really, the World Trade Organization. Okay. So remember 40, the answer is the balance of payment, right? So that is where the IMF will come. Okay. Then again, we have this 41. Under which circumstances would devaluation of a currency be able to reduce the deficit in the current account balance of payment? Guys, Marshall Lerner condition. Where do you have an answer that is more than one? If there is two answers more than one, then what is the answer that has the highest? Yes. Okay, so this is 0.7, no, 0.5, no, 1, 0.9. Here you have 2.4, right? So this has to be your answer. So combine elasticities of this, where the one is the greatest. So 41 is answer number 5. And then 42. Okay, at present the value of the value of a, what is this, guys? What is STR? I've not touched much on this on my tutor also, but what is an STR? That is, what does it stand for? STR? That's called special drawing rights, guys. So what is a special drawing right? That's like, it's not a currency, but like a, okay, right? This is called special drawing rights, right? So what is this special drawing right? It's not a currency really, right? But it has a value. You can say one special drawing right equals, let's say, this much of Sri Lankan rupees. Likewise, you can give a number to it, but it's not a currency really, okay? So at present, the value of the SDR consists of the weighted value of 5 major currencies. What are the major currencies, guys? What do you all think? What are the currencies that this SDR is based on? Give me an answer. Which one do you all think is the answer? 5, 4, yeah, not sure. Okay, so the answer I think should be 5. Just check with your answer scheme as well. If I'm not mistaken, it's 5, guys. So it's the US dollar, yes, British pound, Japanese yen, euro, and the Chinese yuan. Okay, not these guys, not the Swiss franc, not the Australian dollar, not the Russian ruble, and not the Australian dollar. These are small countries. These are the 5 major currencies that is there in the world. So if I'm not mistaken, it should be this. Just recheck with your answer as well. 42 should be fine. Okay, right. So that paper is also done, meaning we have one last paper left. That is, if you have done all these papers, your 2020 paper can't be a problem at all. So give me answers for all of this. We'll see how many of how much, if you are genuinely doing it, we'll see how many of you get that right. Okay, so these are our last paper for the MCQs. Done. Sorry. Protectionism. You can take this. You can take this also. Okay, we'll start with 36. Okay, question number 36. What do you all think the answer is? According to the principle of comparative advantage, worldwide output and consumption levels will be highest when goods are produced in countries where which of the following is true? Where opportunity costs are the lowest, absolute advantage is the highest, balance of trade is in a surplus, exchange rate is falling, transport cost is almost zero. Where the opportunity cost is lowest, right? That is the condition for comparative advantage. Okay, so one answer done. Okay, basic one, last year paper. Okay, then we'll move into the next paper. Next question. Okay, question 37. Okay, so question 37 says, in country A, it takes 5 labor hours to produce 1 unit of cloth and 10 labor hours to produce 1 unit of rice. In country B, it takes 7 labor hours to produce 1 unit of cloth and 21 labor hours to produce that. If the two countries are designed to specialize according to country's comparative advantage, at what exchange rate would country A be willing to trade with country B? Okay, so first of all, okay, you have country A, you have country B, you have the two goods. What are the two goods? That is cloth and rice. Okay, so they are giving labor hours. So country A takes 5 labor hours to produce cloth, 10 labor hours to produce rice, right? 7 and 21. Okay, so let's find the opportunity cost here, the opportunity cost of each country, right? So how do you find the opportunity cost? Is simply here it's going to be 5 divided by 10, so it's 0.5 units of rice, right? So these people 2 cloth. Here it's going to be 7 divided by 21, that's 0.33 rice, and then this is going to be 3 units of cloth. Okay, so they're asking you at what exchange rate would country A be willing to trade? So, okay, first tell me, country A has the comparative advantage in which good? Cloth or rice, guys? Where do they have a lower opportunity cost? In cloth, right? Sorry, in rice, right? So in cloth, guys, they are in cloth, country B has the comparative advantage. In rice, country A has the comparative advantage, right? So then what are the exchange rates, right? So for rice, right, the exchange rate for rice is more than 2 and less than 3 cloth, no, right? So then for cloth, what is the exchange rate? The exchange rate is more than 0.33 and less than 0.5 rice. So based on this, can you tell me which one gives us the correct answer? More than 2 units of cloth per unit of rice. Per unit of rice, more than 2 units of cloth. Okay, that looks okay. Country A, they are specializing in rice, so yes, they would need more than 2 units of cloth. Looks right. Okay, more than 2 units of rice per unit of cloth. More than 2 units of rice. No. Okay, not this. More than 3 units of cloth. No, they will require more than 2 units of cloth. Wrong. More than 3 units of rice? No. More than euro 5 units of rice per cloth again. Okay. These are easy ones, guys. All what you have to do is find in the comparative advantage, find in the exchange rate, then you can easily figure that out, right? So 37.1. Okay, do you get that right? No? Oh, I am struggling with this. Oh, can figure that out. Shape, right? Right, that's 37. Okay, then okay, 38. Okay, which of the following arguments are most likely used to justify protection or arguments for protectionism? Why do you need protectionism? To protect high cost domestic industries, to protect strategically important industries, to protect infant industries, to protect environmental standards, to maximize government revenue. The most likely reasons why do you have protectionism, guys? The most important reasons from these two, it's this and this, right? For to protect your strategically important industries and to protect your infinite. Yes, now the other ones also are things, but they're asking the most likely ones, right? The main ones. So it's B and C. Okay. Then if you look at 39, in which account of the balance of payment would an inflow of foreign direct investment be recorded? Foreign direct investment inflow, FDI, financial account, right? Credit, debit, financial account, currency and deposit, credit, financial account, foreign direct investment. That's for financial account. So you all know where foreign direct investment comes. So 39 is again 5. So now these questions are very easy now, right? Okay, and then okay, we have 2 more. A floating exchange rate refers to which one, guys? The exchange rates fall into adjust when destabilized by shocks to the foreign exchange market. Exchange rates maintained by the government through the intervention of exchange rate. Exchange rate determined by the demand and supply of a country's currency. A situation where excess demand causes devaluation, excess supply causes appreciation. Which one, guys? What is the floating exchange rate? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a direct, very basic answer, no? A floating exchange rate or a free market exchange rate is what? It's a exchange rate determined based on the demand and supply of this, right? Based on the demand and supply of a country's content. That's what you call a floating exchange rate. And then okay, 41, the solution proposed by the IMF, which was established to help countries that have balance of payment and foreign exchange reserve problem was. What kind of a solution did these people propose if you have a foreign BOP problem? The revaluation of the country's currency, lend in the country foreign exchange reserves through repurchase and reverse repurchase agreement, helping to re-establish the country's exchange rate at a higher level, purchasing of the country's assets abroad and converting new money, helping the country to find new markets for exports. What do you think is the solution that these people offered? What is kind of the solution? What do you all think? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one, guys? For 41? Don't know, can't figure out. That's a little bit of a tricky question, right? Oh, sorry. Hold on. Which one, guys? It's not very easy, right? So, not something that you would directly that comes from past papers. Okay. Okay. First things, right? The solution proposed by the IMF. Now, this is not clearly a theory thing. It's a little bit of you need to know your practical knowledge a little, right? So, not the revaluation of the country's currency. That's not going to be be the solution, guys. Not that, right? And not again. Now, will the IMF help a country to find new export markets? No, right? IMF is not into trade, no, right? Finding export markets, trade agreement, that's World Trade Organization, not these people, right? Purchasing the country's assets and converting them into foreign currencies, again, no, that is utter bullshit, right? Helping to re-establish the country, that's not a solution, guys. That maybe that's a thing that they can do. That's not a solution. So really the solution what they implemented was this guy. So lending to lending the country foreign exchange reserves through repurchase and reverse repurchase agreement. So whenever you have a BOP problem, right? Whenever you have a balance of payment problem, what does the IMF do? The IMF lends money, not just like in inside the country, right? When there is what the central bank does, right? When they want to inject some money to help the shortage of liquidity, they use the reverse purchase and repurchase agreements. No? So same way, right? When a country itself is facing problems like that, the IMF also does things like that, right? So they lend through repurchase and reverse repurchase agreement. It's a little bit of a hard one, right? I would not expect you to know that 100%, but if you are smart enough, you should be able to figure that out. Okay. So 41 there is 2. Then, okay, the last question for unit number 9 and 10. Okay, read and give me an answer, guys, and then we are done. The diagram below shows the value of Sri Lankan rupee in terms of US dollar. Okay. So this is the demand and supply for the Sri Lankan rupee. So what has happened here? They're telling you what will be the effect of the shift in the demand for the Sri Lankan rupee from D1 to D2. Okay, first thing, guys, has the Sri Lankan rupee appreciated or depreciated? The LKR. Think carefully. The LKR has depreciated, This is the indirect quotation. Depreciated, right? So earlier, $1 was worth 0.6006 rupees. Now $1 is worth only 0.005. So the demand for our LKR has fallen. So as a result, LKR has depreciated. Because our LKR has depreciated, which one of these can you say will be correct? Sri Lanka exports will be more expensive? Yes or no? Yes, give me answers. Last one and then we're done. Will Sri Lanka's exports be expensive if our currency has depreciated? No. It will become much more cheaper, right? Wrong. It will be cheaper for the Sri Lankan tourists to visit? No, it will be more expensive, right? Because if they're going to visit, now they have to pay more. Sri Lanka treasury bonds will be cheaper for the US investors? If a US guy is coming to buy Sri Lanka treasury bonds, can say yes, no? Let's say it's a 100,000 rupees treasury bond. Now the US fellow has to pay less dollars, no? So you can say yes. The Sri Lankan treasury bonds will be more expensive for the US? No, it will be cheaper. The cost of imports from USA will decrease? No, our currency has depreciated. So now whatever that we import will be much more expensive. So again, no. So you end up with answer number 3. That brings us to the end. Got all of this correct? No, at least how many out of how many? 2020 paper. At least maybe if you all have not even got the 41 correct and got the others correct, I think you all would have been okay. The 41 was a tricky one there. But apart from that, everything else is directly from past papers. Yeah, so if you can get all the others correct, that means you have kind of handled everything else apart from 41. Okay, so that is the end of unit number 9 and 10, the MCQs. Next class, probably on Saturday, I'll let you all know in case, yeah, I should be there. But I think the week after that, I might not be there. I'm not very sure. I might go out for a project to Monragala. Okay, so that is it from me for today. Most probably we will have another 4 classes, right? So 2 for unit 9 and 10 essay questions, and another 2 for unit 11 and 12 MCQs, and then we are done with BY. Yeah, right. So that's it. Thank you for coming, and I'll probably see you all next week. You guys have a good day.